Here's why I think this unique wheel is one to consider if you are starting sim racing or upgrading from the Logitech or Trustmaster wheels. At the price of $250, the Camus C5 is directed at newcomers or entry-level sim racers. I am extremely impressed by the C5, however this wheel will only suit a very particular target. Camus sent the C5 for review and I have an affiliate link with them, all opinions my own. As you probably know, the entry-level range is dominated by the Logitech G29 or 923 or the Trustmaster T300RS and a few others. The bundles will tend to have most what is needed to start sim racing. Any direct drive coming into this will have to compete on price and features. So because of it, the C5 starts at $250, having a bundle option with pedals for $299. You might need to add the desk mount for $30 as well. In some places the price will differ because of taxes, but at this price it is the cheapest direct drive and direct drive bundle at the moment, cutting Fanatec and Mozza by about $100. It is more expensive than the Logitech, but if you are looking towards a Logitech G29 or 923 and don't need the console compatibility, pay attention to this video. Oh, I have just the wheel alone, not the pedals, and naturally there'll be some comments saying the bundle won't have a clutch or is not console compatible, so it will be more expensive comparatively. I get that, and that can be important for a lot of users, but not so important to others. Let's keep on track and also subscribe to the channel. The C5 is a 5Nm direct drive, more or less, more rather than less, more about this later. An all-integrated direct drive system where the motor is integrated with the 200mm D-shaped steering wheel, making it super compact and giving it this distinctive look and feel. While it's a D-shaped wheel, it's really not that pronounced. It's not a pretty wheel, but it has basically everything in terms of controls. The unit weighs about 2.8 kilos. It has 20 buttons, three 12-way rotary encoders, rev lights, and an LED light system, and also these pedal shifters. The wheel is fake leather with black stitching. The construction and stitching is actually pretty impressive considering the price. The front end is even carbon fiber. In the box, there's also a 140-watt power brick, showing that the C5 has more than 5 Nm. There is some assembly required with all the parts coming inside the box. The C5 itself has this weird-looking mounting system that can be used in a sim rig or connected to a wheel stand. However, I found that the desk clamp is almost an essential addition that they omit. As it doesn't have a wheelbase to make the wheel stand slightly taller, the desk clamp adds that, and it also has this extra little bit of cooling as it comes with this blower fan. The clamp makes the wheel more usable because it also has a little bit of tilt adjustment. The mounting sticks, or whatever they're called, are 2x2 in a Fanatec pattern, the same as Mozza, so it should be compatible with almost everything out there. Same with the desk mount. Though for the desk mount you will need some nuts as the bolt holes are not threaded. At the back there's a USB printer type connector, a power connector, and a fan connector. Be careful with the fan connector socket, it moves a lot. Ergonomics wise it's a bit better than expected, although it is a very small wheel. Big hands might feel cluttered here and might chafe against the center. There's not much space from the wheel to the center area. All the buttons are easily reached, at least in my hands, and they have a good click too. The shifters are, for the lack of a better word, laughable. Too small in my opinion, the click is okay. The wheel feels extremely solid in the hand, there's no creaks or bends, and I don't believe the wheel can be swapped out without major intervention. The software is pretty straightforward, however the installation felt a bit shady, I guess. The driver package wasn't registered and Windows flagged it as potentially harmful. The software will recognize the wheelbase and wheel. All the normal options are there, and some of the options feel a little bit too similar to Fanatec with natural friction and such. In terms of settings, about 60 or 70% of power feels really good with 100% on effects and keeping the filter high. Lowering the filter basically kills every effect in the steering wheel, and we really don't want that. Now for the all-important driving. I am impressed, and we need to take a step back first. This is an entry-level steering wheel, and while it boasts 5 Nm, much like the Fanatec DD1 torque levels, those 5 Nm are sustained torque. This has more like 6 or 7 in peak, which means it can be cranked slightly up higher than normal for a wheel of this type and will always feel good. This wheel has a really tight and detailed 4-seat back, and it has really no right to feel this good at this price. In my gauntlets of testing, Assetto Corsa Competizione, and Automobilista 2, in every single one of them, it has passed with flying colors. Assetto Corsa has an extremely tight force feedback, really connected, alive. Competizione has more muted force feedback when the power is low. Not a problem with the Camus 5 because you have this extra power headroom, and you can get all of those effects without feeling mushy. With Automobilista 2, it's also pretty much the same story. It's really connected force feedback. Setting the wheelbase was a breeze in these titles. Project Cars based titles like Automobilista 2 can be really finicky with connection. With the Camus, there was no problem whatsoever, but I've heard of issues with Dirt Rally 2, but then again, Dirt Rally 2 tends to be strange outside the big 3 or 4 brands. Despite cranked, the ergonomics worked rather well as well. A Competizione was really where this wheel impressed me the most because of the detail and the amount of controls, but the 3 rotary encoders are so useful. A couple of downsides, and one of them, it's really hard to get past the shifters, at least for me. They are too small and they are not at my natural resting position. You may like them, I really don't. The desk clamp, though, is super solid. The mountings with all the torque didn't have any problems whatsoever. Even without hard mounting it to a rig, it always felt super sturdy. There is, though, a noticeable minus point when driving, and that is the C5 has more natural dampening than it's usual for a wheel of this torque. So, the Camus C5. I wasn't really expecting it to be this good. The force feedback is super solid. The format is wacky and quirky, and because of it, I can't recommend it to everyone. In the YouTube community, I've asked this question: where do you sim race at? In my opinion, the C5 out of those replies would definitely fit those using a desk for this money sink of a hobby. But even so, just part of them. Not because of something that it does wrong, but because of what makes it different, unique, and interesting as a solution. And because of that, it won't fit everyone. The format will be limiting for those wanting more than just one wheel or wanting an upgrade path. Let's talk about who I think this is for first. If you are on a desk, want something really slick to get in and out of position, or would be easy enough to store, I think this is for you. After all, this wheel can be stored inside a normal IKEA shelf. It's just ridiculous. It will be also for those who want just one thing, and that thing needs to service every single use case scenario. As it has so many buttons and the wheel is relatively small, I can see this being used with formula driving, open wheelers, roads, and GT cars, for example. So it does have a really large scope, but I'd wager the lion's share of sim racers wanting to upgrade or getting a direct drive want more flexibility. They want to be able to change wheels on the fly or even some sort of upgrade path. In this case, a wheelbase like the C5 is limiting. And I think for those on a desk wanting to go to a sim rig or on wheel stands or sim rig should look towards the CSLDD for its upgrade path. It's slightly more expensive, but its flexibility, I think it's worth the price difference. With a compatible wheel, it can be raced on an Xbox as well. And crucially, the force feedback is also bang on. The biggest downsides are the need for the clamp and the shifters are too small. The software, while good, it needs more options. Other than that, for the price and what gives as an experience, Camus with the C5 may have opened the door for more wheels of this kind. Self-contained, entry-level, budget, direct drives. They deserve a lot of praise for this. And for the other option, check out the CSLDD review.